Let's start with our presentation. And now we have to have a look at the first slide. Yeah. I think some people of you know this slide. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Kees Asman, you were born in Leiden. You know this photograph? Dick Toet, you know this photograph? You know this photograph? It's a family, or maybe 2 families or 3 families, large families, lots of children, and they are shelling beans. And it's a photograph of 1957. The photograph was taken in the Mirakelsteeg, which is just a 5-minute walk from here. Just a 5-minute walk from here. People, families, shelling beans. The beans were brought in by ship from outside the city, and they were cleaned up in the houses and then delivered to factories, to food factories in the eastern inner city of Leiden. This was in 1957, and when this photo was made, there was no expectation that this scene would disappear. There was no idea that this way of working was going to disappear. There was no consciousness that it was an very old-fashioned way of working. So this photo is a nice metaphor for the city we left behind us. And this is the same scene. And now notice a very tiny detail on this photo. I have been looking, where was this photo taken actually? We know about the surroundings, which part of the city was this photo taken. But it's very difficult to find the perspective. On this, which place was this child standing? That's very difficult to reconstruct it. This is the area right now. This is how the inner city, just 5 minutes walk from here, looks now. So next photo, yeah? This is how it looks now. But what was the perspective? And I tried last week, when I prepared this presentation, to be some kind of amateur crime scene investigator. I wanted to have the exact location. And of course, I'm an amateur with too little time, so I had to quit again, but I have just one small element. The old photograph, I found just one structure, the old photograph. I could not find these buildings, these houses, just that tiny tower. That's the only thing I could find back in the new situation. This is a small spire of the Mare Church, the old 17th century Mare Church. This is the only structure on both photographs, the only structure. I'm not sure about it. I'm just an amateur investigator, I told you. But imagine how thoroughly this part of the city was changed. Not one stone remained in its place, not one stone. It was not a rebuilding, it was a complete demolishing and again newly developing the city. So the child must have been standing here, and the family is peeling beans here. To my best guess, that's a metaphor of how thoroughly the city has changed. So what we are going to do today is, yes please.
I lived in that house behind the tree.
Before or after 1957?
After 1957.
And you also have no idea where the photograph was taken?
No, for me it's kind of an insight.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So we are now looking through the city. We are now trying to connect 2 periods of history. The late industrial history and our modern history as a knowledge hub. We're going to do another thing. You got a handout at the desk. You all have a handout? On the first page of this handout, you see an aerial photograph, an old aerial photograph of the city of Leiden. On the second, on the second photo, the color photo, is taken not in Leiden. No. You have any idea where it was taken? It's not a sister city, but it's not far from Chile. Well, it is very far from Chile, but from our perspective, it's almost in Chile. It's Medellin in Colombia. It's Medellin in Colombia. And Medellin is for us, urban scientists, a very important city because of what they are doing there. And we'll come to that later in this afternoon, but to give you just one tiny clue already, please have a look at page 9 of this handout. And there you see some clue. The second photo on page 7, the famous escalators of Medellin, a new way of public traffic and of connecting poor and rich neighborhoods. And Medellin is a very important city for us urban scientists because it's very, very effective in dealing with poverty and in emancipation of poor people, making world examples. So we come to that later in this presentation, but we try to connect two periods in time. We also try to connect this city of Leiden to other parts of the world. This masterclass is about connecting Leiden in time and in place to other places of our planet. That's what we are going to do. And we are interested in knowledge. We're not philosophers, we deal with empirical knowledge. And now we're first going to, this is our program. We first do a little test. And then we are going to define our time on the planet with a grand demographic overview. And after the break, we will talk about what happened to our cities, especially to Leiden, but also other cities. And the last part of the masterclass we dedicate to what lies ahead, what kind of future we may expect, and what can we do to influence that future.